Welcome to the family with.
Officer Dave.
And Andy Barnard.
So when Josh does get here, we'll go. Sorry, we can't intro you. You missed the intro. You're out of the mix, and that's all there is to it.
He'll intro himself well enough for all of us.
This is true.
I would tell you this is true, and then Josh will learn this as time goes. Matter of fact, he called me last night, and I was out, so I didn't get a chance to call him back. So hopefully, he didn't call me about the fact that he couldn't come in or something. Because I did not get a chance to answer. By the time I got home, I thought it was. The thing I keep forgetting where I am is an hour later. So when I get home late, like at 10:30 or whatever, I can't call him. It's 10:30 at night, but it's only 9:30 there. So I could have called him back, but I keep going through that whole situation.
You're a considerate individual.
It's nonstop consideration for others.
Hey, what can you do
about it? So what's going on in you guys' world? Everything good?
Oh, man, I tell you what, this law enforcement stuff is getting to be ridiculous.
What the hell is this now what?
Well, so Mary Moriarty, right?
Oh, yeah.
She has all kinds of experts do this Ricky Cobb thing. And I did some research on it and found out that, okay, Ricky Cobb was stopped by a trooper. He found out he had warrants, tried to pull him out of the car. Another trooper showed up. They're both trying to get him out of the car. He takes off in the car. Trooper fires his weapon and kills Ricky Cobb.
Right.
Every expert that Mary Moriarty hired says this cop acted within training and did not violate 609-066.
Correct.
Is our use of deadly force statute. Well, she's still charging him with manslaughter, murder, and everything else. Yep. And the MPPOA is trying to have Keith Ellison. They want Keith Ellison to take over the case. That's how bad it is.
Oh, God, that's all we need.
And then, because she's obviously doing this just for political gain, and it's just a solid joke.
Yep.
Keith Ellison. Oh, my God. Did he was all that stuff true about him, working over the misses and all that stuff?
I think it's true, but there's not a lot of that story just seemed to go away.
Yeah, just went away.
Yep.
People just getting away with all kinds of bad things. There's no question about it. Well, how about this one judge, too? A woman who's on drugs killed her baby because she couldn't enjoy being on drugs, killing the baby. And the judge let her off and said, "No, I understand."
Yep. Oh, we need another chance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You murdered a baby and you got away with it.
Yep.
What do these idiot judges think they're doing to help society when they do things like that?
They think everybody needs another chance.
Mm-hmm.
I need another chance. They never gave me another chance.
Yeah.
Ooh, wait a minute. That's a little too bright. Hold on one second. I'm trying to get my face to not look so red, but it looks red anyway. I don't know. Whatever. That's okay, isn't it?
Andy, your face kind of pretty washed out, so whatever.
Yeah, but anyway, could we just allow people to do their jobs, including the police force, the fire department, all of the rest of this? It just amazes me that people are going to commit more and more and more crimes because the judges are letting them all go.
Oh, yeah.
I don't get it.
This is what the society we live in.
But to this day, I don't understand. Why would you want to do that anyway? Why would you want to let them go?
I think that they all think that they're victims and they're going to be saving. The judges think they're going to be saving the world. That's my opinion.
But they're ruining the world.
Well, either that or they're trying to make up for all the reparations and all the other thing else by letting everybody go. I don't know.
Did I ever tell you a story about the one time that I was walking down the street with friends of mine at like 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning, and the cops pulled us over, or not pull us over because we were walking, but they came in. It's right by St. Anne's Parish on 26th and Queen in North Minneapolis. And my friend, who had just gotten back from Vietnam, still had a little bit of Vietnam in him, so he was, causing some trouble. And St. Anne's have all these little alcoves where the doors are.
Yeah.
So he went in one alcove. I went in a different alcove with the cops, right?
Yeah.
And the cop is telling me, "Okay, Tom, this is how it's going to go. Can you hear what's going on down the street?" I said, "What do you mean down the street?" And he goes, "Just down the street, like in the next alcove." And you could hear some guy getting his ass kicked, right? And I mean in a big way. And I said, yeah, I can hear that. And he goes, okay, now I want you to understand something. I checked your record. You don't have a record. I know where you live. You live 3 blocks from here. I want you to know something. You could make the choice. Do you want that to happen? Because if you want it, we could do that. But if you don't, we can let it go and hopefully you learn something.
Yep.
That was good police work, I thought.
And that's, back, and I've never tuned anybody up, but
Right.
I've always been, you know what? You have a choice. You can do it this way or we can do it the other way.
Yeah.
So,
how many times have you been beaten up by police, Josh?
0.
I would admit that would have been my guess. Absolutely. By the way, I just, we were talking about. I did get your call last night, but here's what I did. I explained it to the listeners and Andy and Officer Dave already. That I was running around like a madman last night. And I get home at 10:30. And I went, well, I can't call him back at 10:30. It's too late. Not remembering that where you are, it's 9:30. So that was a problem. But so sorry for not calling. I always call you back because I like to talk
Yes,
to you
you
anyway.
do.
So that was me misinterpreting the central time zone.
You have a lot to do. There's a lot on your mind.
I got a lot going on. There's no question about that. Trying to move forward with life. That's all I have to say. So what are you up to, Josh?
Oh, we got a lot. You guys can just sit back and relax. Mr. Money Talk can just take it over from here. We've got a lot cooking. First things first.
Okay, I have to ask you a question before you continue.
Yes.
How much longer do these assholes in college think I'm going to have to put up with watching them burn the American flag while waving the Hamas symbol? Hamas people are terrorists. You like terrorists?
Of course we like terrorists. They're, the Israelis and all you people like you, Tom and Super Dave and Andy, you are oppressors. You're oppressors and we are oppressed. We hate America. Burn that flag. Burn that flag.
Yep.
Wave the flag for Hamas. Now, I hope most of the people are listening know that I am running a little bit with facetiousness and
Not much.
sarcasm here. But my feeling, now, of course, I'm just an old guy who's had a few experiences. You really hate America that much, you privileged pricks. You've been brought up in a lap of luxury. You're brought up in a country that most people want to come to because of all the freedoms that we've got. Mm-hmm. And you want to stomp on that?
I know.
Go yourself. And
okay.
And quite frankly, I was looking at some of these clowns, with their coordinated protests that screwed up traffic in New York, Chicago, San Francisco. My solution, I'll say, if I was running O'Hare Airport, real easy solution. Mm-hmm. Sorry, officers. We've got this little front end loader that we use to remove snow. There's some stuff in the roadway that we're going to remove.
Right.
And just take that front end loader and move it. I mean, that's the same thing as those protesters not too many years ago around here. We're going to block 35W and 94 in St. Paul. I'm sorry. Those are, I think, federal highways.
Yes, they are.
You're interfering with interstate traffic. That is a big offense. You either move your butt, we're going to remove it for you, and we're letting traffic come through. Sorry if you get hurt.
Yep.
More to the point, and then I'll go, here's something now. Does Google? Yeah, Google reports their earnings next week, and this is going to be a call on their earnings. Mr. Eric Schmidt, we see that you terminated 28 employees, now former employees, for protesting in your offices in San Francisco and New York City. How do you feel about that? Do you feel that you were doing away with their free speech rights because they were protesting your involvement in contracts with the Israeli government? And I hope his response is they were trespassing on property. They were asked politely to remove themselves.
Right.
And they were violating company policies.
That's the big
policies that they signed, that they would abide by when they signed their contracts. So if these people want to, protest, that's their right. But one, not on company property. Two, not on company time. Three, not interfering with company business. And four, let them go find another $250,000 a year job where they can protest all they want. Goodbye. Good luck.
Couldn't agree more.
The company policy, that's the big one.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
But you see this all over the map.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, you don't like what the company does.
Mm-hmm.
Go work for another company.
Yep.
You don't like the fact that Boeing and their affiliates make aircraft that are used by the military.
Right.
You don't have to work for Boeing.
Right.
You want to work for Google? Hey, they have contracts with a lot of governments. Just because of the services they provide. You don't like what they're doing, go elsewhere or start your own business.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there you go.
But no, we don't want to do that. We're big into protests.
Can I ask you a question about that?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm now on a little roll.
No. I just want to ask you a question about it. I'm asking all three of you and the listeners about this. Back in the day in 1967, 1968, because of these assassinations that had gone on in 65 and 67, 63, 63, 67, and 68, no question about it. By we, I mean people in my era, my age, went back and did some research. What side should I take? Blah, 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 blah. So my question is this, because I witnessed this in person during the Vietnam era. One of our neighbors, who's a very, very good friend, my mother's best friend, their son was in Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
And he was shot and killed in Vietnam. So they shipped him back home, and they put his cover on, because in the Marine Corps it's a cover. It's not a cap.
It's not a hat. Yep.
He had been shot through the forehead. Now, this is a very poor neighborhood. People don't have a lot of money. So instead of doing the best job they couldn't cover up the bullet hole. It was too big, right? So they put his cover on in the casket. And if any of you people who are burning the American flag would go back and read up on stories like this, because I'm sitting there and I hear this very loud, it was like a scream. It was more a scream than a yell. And this boy's name was Joe. I won't say his last name to kind of protect the family. He's in the casket in the Catholic Church. I hear this just unbelievably loud scream. His father got up and threw himself on top of the casket. Why don't you go through that sometime and see if you still burn American flags, you assholes.
Exactly.
People have died for your right to live in this country, and you couldn't give a shit less. That drives me insane.
A lot of the friends that I have who served, okay, they 100% say, you know what, the burning the flag doesn't bother them as much, because that's the freedom that they fought for.
Yeah.
The freedom to be able to do that. And while I would never, ever, 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 ever dream of doing it,
right, exactly.
And it burns me to the core. It's like, okay, that's their freedom of speech. That's their freedom of expression. That's what these guys fought for. But yeah, it's a lot of the guys that I know, it's like that's what we fought for, to let them do.
Yep.
So
Well, and I'll tell you again, though, having witnessed a father, and of course they had to drag him off the casket and carry him down there because he couldn't walk. He just fell apart completely. No, do a little research before you start. We support Hamas. We're a bunch of terrorists. That makes you a terrorist, by the way, because you support it. If you'd ever seen something like that, you would never do what you're doing. Not
Yeah.
a chance.
yeah,
Would you agree with that, you guys?
Yes. I mean,
Okay.
I think that most of these people are definitely just coddled. They know
Yes.
very, very little.
about what's
Yeah.
actually going on and what it's all about.
Everything is a soundbite.
A headline or a
And
TikTok.
bear in mind, most of these, younger people get upset because of some microaggression that you
Right.
looked at them the wrong way, and they're right away running. If they're in college, they're right away running to the human resources office. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, Tom looked at me the wrong way. He committed a microaggression, and the
God.
administrators are on your butt. Oh,
Mhm.
did you know that you looked at this person the wrong way and they took offense? Or, you didn't call them by their proper pronoun.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So
That's
they
true.
took offense.
That's very true.
I mean, come on.
Yep.
Andy, what do you think of this? As you're that age group, you kind of, they're younger than you are. They're college kids, so they're what, 21, 22?
18 to
But-
22. Yeah.
Yeah, 18 to 22. But people your age, in your mid 30s, little leaning toward upper 30s. How do you look at that? Are you surprised that people don't even bother to do any research about should I burn the American flag or not?
No, college students have always been stupid as hell.
That's a good way to put it. I like that.
I mean, they think they know everything. They actually
Yes.
know basically nothing.
Right.
And they're very quick to give opinions about things that they don't know anything about.
It's true. All right, so I'll get the hell out of your way now, Josh. But I to this day, even though that happened about 60 years ago, to this day, I can still feel what that felt like to watch his father come apart at the seams the way he did because he lost his oldest son. It was something to watch, and there's no way you'd be claiming to support Hamas if you had ever seen something like that.
Right.
I don't think there's a way that if you went to Gaza
Yeah.
that you would want to support Hamas.
No question. There's no doubt about it.
I mean,
they don't know what the hell they're talking.
This always gets me. Queers for Palestine.
Okay.
Really?
Mhm.
Do you know what they would do to you
Oh,
in Gaza
Oh,
or
yeah.
any Muslim country?
Yep.
No, they don't. They don't know anything.
no
That's
idea.
The thing.
Yep.
They
Good
don't
luck.
know
God
how
bless.
the world works.
They would toss you off 4-story building.
oh yeah. They would literally do that.
I mean, bear in mind, when somebody starts supporting it. Again, I'm going to get called some names.
I've been called every name in the book. It don't matter.
Me too.
Hey, take a look at some of the things that are happening now in Afghanistan.
Oh God.
Okay. Oh, we want to make nice to the Taliban. They're going to treat people well. Oh, let's see. I see women are being stoned again.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, you didn't have your, you're not dressed correctly. Well, here come the dress police, and we're going to flog you and stone you. Yeah, there we go.
But hey, more power to you. We're going to support you.
Yep, there you go. And this is some of the, I'll say, the women who lead these protests, supporting Hamas or any of these other organizations. It's like, huh? Do you understand how you are treated in these places?
They
It's
don't.
not.
They don't understand.
It's not pretty.
No, there's no question about it. No doubt.
But if you want, I can now. I've got to swing and talk to some good about some good things here.
Yeah, well, good. I'm glad you do because I didn't. That's why I do it at the beginning, so the wounds could heal by the end of the show. But just do some research before you get an opinion that's that strong because you have no idea what the hell you're talking about. No.
Zero. I mean, I don't, just in terms of, Vietnam War, and I've told this story on different radio shows, and typically I tell this story, we'll say Veterans Day, Memorial Day, and typically around this time of the year, one of my classmates wanted to be a Marine for as long as I knew him, and knew him from fourth grade
Right.
through graduation. He graduated at the top of his class at Paris Island, and then advanced. I don't know whether in the Marines they call it advanced infantry training.
That's
and he
the
went.
Army.
He went to Vietnam, and Corporal William Comley was killed in action in Vietnam as a Marine. No matter what anybody in our class thought of the Vietnam War, there was a big turnout for his funeral, and all the time. If I look at a Facebook post for any of my classmates, his name comes up. People remember him on his birthday, the day he was killed in action, and the other holidays. When I've been to Washington and I'm taking people, we go to the wall. Here, you're going to rub something over William Comley's name.
Yep.
I don't care what you think about the war. He served. He did something for, I'll say, himself, his buddies, and the country.
Yep.
And he paid the ultimate price.
Absolutely.
And there are other people who have done that in different theaters.
Yep. I've lost guys, friends.
You've probably lost guys in
picking up a ladder off the roadway.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I do get very upset when you see people who know very little about what's going on filing a complaint or protest.
Yep.
And to me, what do you plan on accomplishing other than, we'll say, signaling how virtuous you may be?
You may think you are.
And it doesn't matter what somebody's age is.
I will tell you this. I just gotten a couple of messages. Whenever I get text messages or whatever, they show up on my watch. And
isn't that the greatest thing? My iWatch, you might not have.
Yeah.
It's just tremendous.
It is.
I'll come to Apple in a little bit. Well, you've got small arms.
Yeah, I wish I could wear a watch.
We'll find a band that's big enough for. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go look for a watch band. I'll look at my bicep and I'll say, okay, I need a watch band that'll go around my bicep, because that's the size of Super Dave's wrists.
It's true. So what I've been receiving since we talked about this is, Tom Brunart, this is for you. Tom Brunart, this is for. What was that? What were they pissed off at me about that time? I forgot.
You said assimilate or get
hit
the hell out or
goddamn
something.
road.
Yeah.
Assimilate or hit the goddamn road.
Yep.
Which, you know what they're trying to do now? Because the reason I said that in the first place, and people should have never got pissed off, because now they want us to assimilate to them.
Yep.
And I saw that coming 25 years ago or whatever it was. It's like, no, they don't want to come our way. They want us to come their way.
Yep.
That's why I said assimilate or hit the goddamn road.
Minnesotans are more than happy to do so.
Oh,
Oh.
God, yes. Unbelievable.
Definitely.
So, whatever. Do you have any happy news to talk about in the
Yes,
market
I've
or
got
anything?
some happy. I've got a lot of happy news.
Good.
Mula,
That's
mula,
what-
mula.
That's what I came for. I got happy news. How about this? J. Arnold Doe, born yesterday, 6 pounds, 12
Oh.
ounces, 25 inches, also known as a lot of dough.
Ooh, I like
A
it.
lot of dough. Born to my son-in-law, Joe Doe, and my daughter, Marissa Arnold Doe,
Congratulations.
in New York.
That's wonderful.
Both parents are very excited, and I'm going to go see J. Arnold Doe, aka a lot of dough, next week, and I am excited. Um, Wife Jan, who is not among the living, but I am sure wife Jan was in the room when J. Arnold Doe was born.
It is one of the great things that could happen to anyone, and Andy will tell you this. I get along really well with my grandchildren.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, you have children, you have grandchildren. Little kids are phenomenal. I don't understand people that don't like little kids. What the hell's wrong with you?
They're so much fun to watch.
Oh,
I mean,
God.
I really didn't like kids until I had a kid.
There you
I can
go.
see that. Yeah.
I still, it's like a lot of kids are very annoying.
Yeah.
My kid is very annoying. So, in small dose, it's like it's the grandparent phenomenon. It's nice
Yeah.
to be a grandparent. It's less nice to be a parent.
It's
Yeah,
wonderful.
I love being a parent. Now,
Me too.
and Andy, I the way that you talk, your whole action, you need to go, instead of being sitting behind a mic, behind a big window as a producer, you need to get out on stage.
Yes.
Stage. I don't know if I do well on stage.
I think you would do
I like the
great on
eloquence.
stage.
That dry sense of humor and that dry delivery, you do pretty well.
You do very well. I mean, there was a guy, and I was just asked about this. Could you tell me something about that Andy Barnard? I said, well, did you ever see a comedian, Stephen Wright?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
You go,
Yep.
Stephen Wright? And I described Stephen Wright, and I'd give a few words. I said, that's Andy. Stephen Wright's an old guy now.
Mhm.
Probably doesn't appear.
Is he still alive?
Have no
He is
idea.
still alive.
You're the Googler. Go Google him. And
You're the
Still alive.
Googler.
He's 68 years old.
Wonderful guy.
but-
Great guy.
this guy on stage was hysterical.
Oh, yes.
And you've got his delivery, you've got his timing,
Yep.
and you'd be tremendous.
Well, it's so funny because I remember when the show started, Andy, you would hardly say two
Yeah,
words.
it took me probably 2 years to
And
really start
you
talking.
blossomed out, and it's like
You
you're
did.
throwing jabs and everything. It's beautiful.
Now it's just 10 words.
That's all it
But they're
takes.
perfect.
Brevity is the soul of wit.
One of
Well,
my
you sit behind a microphone for 12 years, you're going to start talking at some point.
Exactly.
My favorite Stephen Wright joke of all time, because I used to have him on the queue once in a while, just a great guy. But he'd come on stage and go, I live in a neighborhood downtown, and I wanted to go to the store, and I know there's a store just a block away from my house. It's a big sign says, open 24 hours. So I walked down that block, and I got to the door, and they were closed. So the next day when they were open again, I went in and I said, I came here last night. Your store, it's open 24 hours a day, and you were closed. So how could you be closed when you open 24 hours? And he said, well, not in a row. I think it's a great joke. I love that. Open 24 hours, but not in a row. Okay.
24 hours cumulatively, and then they close forever.
Exactly. Then they close up for a while. God, he was funny. Well, I don't even know if he appears anymore, but if you ever get a chance to see Stephen Wright do it, because he's brilliant.
Oh, well, we'll have to pull out some some YouTube. Oh my goodness, there I go mentioning another Google related company.
Sure.
YouTube.
Oh,
Well,
my wife and I did that one night. We started. There wasn't much on TV, so we just grabbed the laptop and sat down and we Googled Weird Al Yankovic videos.
oh wow.
Oh, Weird Al, baby.
Oh, and it was we spent the whole night laughing and
Yep.
just having a blast.
Another one rides the bus.
Hey,
I love
I'm gonna
that
sit
song.
by you.
Another one rides the bus. God, he was funny. Was that a good movie? I never did see the movie. The Weird
did.
Al.
Oh yeah,
movie.
no, I never saw it either. What the hell is it called? It has a name. It's called Weird. Well, there
Just
you go.
Weird. The name of the movie is Weird. Yeah.
And he's also in UHF, but that was a while.
That
ago.
was a long time ago.
Oh
Yep.
yeah. So look at that. We bring this sorrow talking about Hamas supporters in America, which I don't understand how that happens. Then we start laughing at other people's joke. Look at that. We've come 180 degrees.
Yep.
Here, I'll give you something to laugh about.
Good.
Okay. Senator Elizabeth Warren.
Oh boy,
God.
I'm laughing
Oh,
already.
God.
I mean, come on.
Oh God.
Okay. She is very upset at Apple. Apple ruins personal relationships because when you text somebody who doesn't have an iPhone, it shows up green. The green,
the green
bubble
yeah.
is ruining relationships, and that's why she supports the DOJ's antitrust suit against Apple, among other things. Apple is a monopolist. They destroy relationships because of the dreaded green bubble. Like, okay, you don't like the green bubble? Go get an iPhone. Then you can have a blue bubble.
I don't even know about this blue bubble, green bubble thing.
Well,
what it?
Yeah, if I text you, Tom, or you text me, or I text Josh, or it would be a blue bubble.
Mm-hmm.
That's how our texts are read.
It literally means the text is in blue.
Yep.
That's
Oh,
all
it
it
is.
means. The
Oh,
color
I
of the
see.
text you see is blue.
Yep. And then
Okay.
if I text Andy, it's green.
Mm-hmm, because I don't have an iPhone.
Right.
And it's something to do with the protocol. iPhone uses a
Really?
special texting protocol
Okay.
that Android doesn't support. So the green bubble is an indicator that the protocol it's using SMS rather than the special iPhone one. Technically, anything that isn't an iPhone will get the green bubble. So non-Android mobile OSs, but they're so rare. Most people don't even know they exist.
Yep.
So I saw that and it's like, really? Really? This is a major issue
Yeah.
or
Yeah,
an issue,
right.
period,
Yeah.
for you, Senator?
Well, she is like what 0.1 billion% Native American.
Yes, of course.
Oh, that's right. She kept claiming she was Native American. I forgot about that.
She was like,
That's-
she found out she was like 1,024th or some
Yeah.
insanely low number. And she's like,
Yes.
see, it's in there. It's like,
See?
yeah, that amount of
Yeah.
Native American DNA, that could have been like an actual Native American walked by the building while they were testing your DNA. Breathed a little too hard.
That's true. That's true. I don't know the stuff that's going on. You know, it was brought up this morning on the show because our president Joe Biden. And again, you vote for you want to. I'm not trying to tell you who to vote for, but I just he told a story about his house burning down and he was in it, and turns out that's not true in the least. It's a flat out lie. And then he also talked about his uncle was flying over New Guinea and his plane was shot down and they never found his body because there are cannibals there, which turns out to be also 100% bullshit, okay? But you know the amazing thing about that is that I did, as a kid, go through both of those things. My mother and I were in the house at 2955 Russell when it burned down and we had to get the hell out of the house because it was burning, baby. And then the other thing is, I was sitting at home when my mother got a call that her youngest brother, August, had been murdered. He was thrown off a building. Oof. So no cannibals ate him or anything. No cannibals were involved. But if the president can lie about it twice, and I could tell pretty much the same story, but they're true, Why am I not the president of the United States? That's what I
I don't
want.
know.
You got my vote.
Maybe you should run.
Yeah, I'd be a great one, wouldn't I? All you shut up. If you're not going to vote for me, get the hell away from me. What do you think? Good plan?
I think there are plenty of people that would say that and say, yeah, we want this guy.
Yep.
God, running for president. Can you imagine me as a president of the United States? Oh, my God, it'd be wonderful. There's no
It
question
would be.
about it.
No.
No, it would not. Anyway, moving forward, but I just wanted to point out that he claims two things that never happened, and they actually did happen to me by coincidence. So, I mean, no cannibals showed up in my story, but
Right.
I don't think they did in his either. But, such is life.
I don't know whether he's ever been to New Guinea.
Probably not. Did cannibalism start because they literally had nothing else to eat? Is
I
that what
believe
started
so, yes.
cannibalism? Really? That's what it was.
Yep.
I
I mean, there's
suppose.
multiple reasons. Like there's a famous, there's a tribe in Africa. I don't remember what it's called, but for a very long time, they were having an issue with a prion disease called kuru. And kuru is basically mad cow disease, but it only affects humans rather than cows.
Oh, okay.
And the reason they were having this issue is because they had a tradition of whenever a relative would die, the family would eat their brain.
Ooh.
So when the person died of kuru, all the family ate their brain. Now they have kuru,
Right.
and now they're going to die, and all of their relatives eat their brain, and so forth. And it basically decimated the whole tribe. So there are many reasons to be a cannibal, I suppose. None of them are good, but
Yeah, I would agree with that. None of them are good, but what the hell? So look how much we've cheered up the listeners now, going from the sad stories to these hilarious stories about brain disease. What do you think?
I like it.
Indeed, it's all true.
The Friday Fun Show.
Well, I have a lot of fun, but this Friday, and I said that I was going to do this. I have so much to talk about because corporate earnings are starting to come in,
That's good. Yeah, I
both
think.
positive and negative. We have the stock market. The Dow is up right now on the back of a little company called American Express.
Oh,
American
yeah.
Express beat the numbers, and they found that card holders of American Express, and I am one of those American Express card
too.
holders,
Yep.
spending more money.
I noticed that when I paid the bill yesterday, Josh, that I was spending more money. So I don't know about that action, but
And I don't know. I got my new American Express
too.
card, my
did
Delta American Express card, which gives me all these great points, encourages me to use it. And this card has some type of aluminum because it's got a much better feel than the plastic cards. Stuff seems to be embossed on it as opposed to my Visa cards that have this little bit of film that when I slide it in and out of my little pocket wallet, over time starts to peel off.
Right.
But anyway, American Express is, don't leave home without it. And I always think of the great commercial that came in Major League for American Express. There was a scene in there.
Oh.
If you've got to think, don't leave home without it, and all those actors. It was a great series of commercials on American Express. Yep. But they reported better than expected numbers, and their stock is up, leading the Dow. The other day, Travelers Insurance had a huge run. So their stock was up as well. Netflix reported better than expected numbers, and they had more subs than people expected. The analysts were looking that for this quarter that Netflix would add 4.5 million. Netflix added 9.3 million subs. And initially, when Netflix reported their numbers, the stock went up in after hours. But then during the conference call, Netflix said, starting in 2025, we are no longer going to give new subscriber numbers. We're going to concentrate on revenues only. What do you
Ooh.
think that did to the stock?
Put her in a tailspin.
Put it in a tailspin. Netflix is down. Analysts are upset. You're taking away a measurement that we need to know to analyze Netflix. And I'm saying, how about look at revenues? If the company's revenues are growing, do you think they're getting more subscribers and or are charging those subscribers more money? So look at the revenues, then you can look at their expenses, because Netflix has got to pay for content or create content.
Mm-hmm.
The difference between the revenues that they get and the money that they spend is going to be their profits. Wouldn't that be kind of easy to figure out?
You'd think.
You would think. Now, I know Apple a number of years ago went through the similar thing when Apple said, we're only going to give revenue numbers. We're not going to give the number of iPhones that we're selling or thinking of selling. We're going to concentrate on revenues. Analysts, we can't figure out, what Apple's going to be doing. Sell the stock, because Apple is not going along with our way of analyzing the company. Thinking, Apple sells a lot of stuff. It's revenues, folks.
Right.
Figure out the revenues. So Apple's going to report on May 2nd. In the meantime, there have been numerous analysts that have been, we'll say, cutting numbers on Apple, cutting their price targets on Apple, and going after Apple. Business in China is bad. Okay. We saw a report this week that Apple is no longer the number one phone worldwide. They've lost market share. So instead of a 20%, a 20% market share, they only have a 17% market share. Now, Apple is still the number one revenue generator, but they no longer have a 20% share. It's a 17% share. Hey, hello, at you folks down at Department of Justice, Apple is not the dominant player. They really don't have the monopoly that you think they do.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Grow up, pay attention to what's going on. It's a very competitive marketplace. Now, meantime, analysts are saying, well, you don't really want to own Apple, or Apple's going to be dead money for so many months. So go put your money someplace else. I'm one of those people. I own Apple. I'm holding Apple. I've got a $250 price target on Apple. Yes, it's been down. Yes, Apple is in a market correction year to date. I think the stock from the high to low is down about 15%. Why do I like it? Well, let me count the ways. How about all the cash that they're sitting on? How about the fact they buy back shares? They pay a dividend, and they've been increasing the dividend every year since they paid it out. How about the fact that they have 2.2 and probably more than that now billion users of their product on a worldwide basis, and that's still growing. And those people are paying for, whether they have a new phone, a used phone, they're paying for other services on that. So that is increasing Apple's revenues and also increasing their margins. What amazes me, and probably, and a number of analysts can't figure it out, how does Apple maintain their margins, which have been above 38% for the longest period of time, when they're just a device manufacturer, and device margin should be down in the single digits, and Apple's are way up. horror upon horror. But Apple's a phenomenal company. Yes, they're losing some business in China because of all the competition. But they're gaining business in other countries that you analysts are not even talking about. You're not talking about the fact that India has been a big source, and Apple has generated twice the revenues now in India than they have before. It's gone from $7.5 billion to $14 billion. That's not a little bit of money. Tim Cook was in Indonesia recently, and there are just a few people in Indonesia talking about, well, we're going to open a manufacturing plant, or we're looking to open a manufacturing plant in Indonesia. They've got manufacturing plants in Vietnam, manufacturing plants in Brazil. There are a lot of Brazilians who own iPhones. So it is a tremendous worldwide company. And as a friend of mine said, China talks about their Belt and Road policies. Hey, Apple's got their own Belt and Road policies in terms of expansion. Now, today, somebody could be getting down on Apple. Apple is bowing to China censorship because they've been asked to remove in China WhatsApp the application.
Oh, okay.
And Signal, both of which are owned by Meta. Meta is going to report their earnings next week. And you start thinking about that. China has asked Apple to remove WhatsApp and Signal because China's concerned with security reasons, that they're worried that Meta, which is also known as Facebook or Instagram, is owned by an American company, and the Americans might be able to spy on Chinese citizens.
There you go.
Sounds exactly like what we went through a month ago. Vice flipped over though.
With TikTok. Yeah. Come on. Do you clowns not, in Congress? And I brought this up then. Do you not think that China is not going to retaliate in some way about, towards an American company? Mm-hmm. Oh no, China would never do that. Really? Wow. Come on. So, and of course, Apple in China is going to comply. They do generate a lot of business in China. They are directly or indirectly I think they are the largest private employer in China. Now, is their business going to grow in China? Probably, but not to the extent that we'll say Chinese companies are growing, because there's a lot of competition there. Now we'll go to another company that faces some of the same issues in China. They report their earnings next week. Their stock has been down 10% this week and could go down a little bit more, and that's Tesla. Tesla has had an unbelievable amount of competition in China from other Chinese EV companies that produce cars that are less expensive and are China made. And recently, Tesla said, well, we're going to be cutting the production of our Tesla 2, which would compete very well in China. It's a much smaller car, but they were having some issues, and that's one of the things they cited, too much competition there. So we'll find out a little bit more about Tesla's plans when they report next Tuesday. That's going to be a very interesting conference call. Also next week, as I said, Meta reports, so they'll have some questions about what's going on with WhatsApp or Signal and how that may be working. And they could also face some issues due to their AI chatbot, which they've introduced, and how that may or may not impact the upcoming election, at least the upcoming U.S. election or any other election for that matter, with disinformation, misinformation, and what is true or not. Microsoft reports, and I think a focus there is going to be on their artificial intelligence as well as their cloud services. So these are some big companies that are coming out with earnings next week. Technology companies have been, if not in a correction or approaching correction territory, that be a correction, with a stock is down 10% from a recent high. A bear market in a stock is down 20%. And in technology shares, we're definitely in a correction. Part has to do with what could be happening or with guidance going forward, as well as what the earnings are going to report. And the other issue is interest rates are going to stay higher for longer. Horror upon horrors. The Federal Reserve realizes, oh, inflation is still here. Yeah. And you guys are, I know you're data dependent, but do you guys ever shop? Do you ever do you ever drive your own car and fill up at the pump and see what the price of gasoline is? Or do you by any chance pay attention to the futures prices on oil? It's up. Hello. And oil flows through a lot of products.
No question. I got a couple of questions for you from the listenership.
Okay.
One wants to know the current rate on a mortgage is a personal mortgage is about what, 7%, somewhere in there?
It's right around 7%.
Right around there. Is there going to be a time in the future when that's going to drop back down to about 4.5, 5? Or will
Well, I
that
think
never
the
happen?
likelihood of the mortgage rates being down in the at least high 5% range, I think, is reasonably high.
Okay.
But that might be out a couple years.
Right.
That
right.
would not, the 7% mortgage even today would, if I wanted to get a new house or a different house,
Mm-hmm.
that wouldn't stop me.
Right.
I mean, it's
Because
this
you
is
can
what-
always refinance.
Yeah, you could always refinance. I mean, in our lifetimes, Tom, how many mortgages have you had? I didn't say how many houses have you had. How many mortgages have you had?
A lot.
Okay. When you bought your first house, I'm guessing your mortgage was someplace between 7 and 10% on your first house.
Matter of fact, it was a little more than 10% because it was when the economy just collapsed, and that would have been what, 1970? What was that in the 70s, right?
Yeah, I mean, we bought our first house in 77. We got I think our first mortgage was 7%. And the people that we bought the house from didn't get a mortgage as quickly as we got it.
Mm-hmm.
And just in that brief period of time, they said that they paid 9% because interest rates were starting to move up, and they felt fortunate to get a 9% mortgage.
Yeah, oh yeah, because it was double digits. I do remember that.
And
No question.
mortgage rates, I think, went up. They might have been as high at one point as 14.5%.
Yes, they were. Yep.
And lenders were coming up with all kinds of gimmicks to get people to get a mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
Another one I love that people are asking about, because I do bring it up once in a while. I guess it just happened this week. I don't know. I don't smoke cigarettes. I haven't since I was very, very young. But apparently, a pack of cigarettes, one pack of cigarettes now is $15. A pack of cigarettes when I turned 18 years old was 31 cents.
You should have bought a lifetime supply.
I should have bought a lifetime, but I don't smoke cigarettes. But honest to God, it went from 31 cents to $15. That's a
Yep.
big jump, man.
Yep. My dad chewed Copenhagen from the time he was
sure.
8 years old till he died.
Yeah.
And I remember very plainly, he gave me 50 cents and sent me into the grocery store to buy, because he needed a tin of Copenhagen.
Oh, sure.
So I had 50 cents in my hand, and I walked in, and I says, "It's for my dad right there," and pointed out the window, and bought a tin of Copenhagen for 50 cents.
And what's it now?
When I quit chewing 5 years ago, it was $8.50, and I'm sure it's over $10 now.
How long does
Oh,
it
yeah.
tin last?
I did 2-3 days for Dad, it was basically a tin a day, but
It's in a day. Yep.
yeah,
Those guys.
for me, it was a tin would last me 2-3 days.
It's not horrible,
No,
but
depended on how much I talked. Had to talk.
yeah.
Yeah, very good point. Well, I remember my mother bought a house at 26th Avenue North in North Minneapolis, which is not the most expensive real estate in the world, but even at that time, I will not forget because I was, I believe, 12 years. So this was about 1964. She bought a 4-bedroom house, 2-story with a full basement, the garage, the whole deal, for $16,000.
Ooh.
You have any of those on the market, Josh? $16,000 houses?
Yes, we can fix you up with that, but it's going to be in Cleveland, maybe in Detroit.
Maybe in Detroit, yes.
There are a couple places I can find in Indianapolis, but not in Minneapolis,
Not happening.
Not in Minnesota either.
and not in Edina.
No, not in Edina. I'm sure that's very, very true.
That's
That
your
house,
water bill in Edina, isn't it?
Yes, that's my water bill.
unfortunately, I think they tore that house down. I drove down 26th Avenue I guess it was about a year ago now, but the house is unfortunately gone. Toots she was very proud of that house. Imagine now, basically, she could have paid for her entire mortgage in today's economy in about 16 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
$1,000 a month. Yeah,
Yep.
pretty much. A lot of people can afford that. I mean, look at the differences. Does that mean? I mean, thank God we won't be around, or at least I won't be. I suppose Andy and Officer Dave probably will be, but eventually it's going to cost to buy a home, and I mean, just talking about a very middling home in America, it's going to cost you over $1 million. How is it now? Average? Don't they average out at about 400 grand now?
Average is probably 250-ish.
Yeah.
Oh, is it down that low?
It depends on where you are. I
Yeah,
mean,
it does definitely.
like in the city, yeah. In Minneapolis, like in Minneapolis limits, you'd be lucky to find a 2-bedroom for probably less than $400,000.
Yeah, that's what I was
But
thinking.
there's still plenty of affordable stuff out there. Just people aren't willing to live out there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I suppose that's
Well,
the further out you go.
Cheryl and I are starting to toss around the idea we don't need our 3,000 square foot home anymore. You know,
Mhm.
it's like,
For 2 people, that's a lot of
Yeah.
space.
so it's, we're starting to toss around the idea of where do we want to go. And anywhere outside of Hennepin, Carver
Yeah.
County, and I'm afraid I see Wright County kind of going the way of Carver County, maybe Ramsey County becoming a little too
Mm,
lovey-dovey. Let's let everybody go without
yeah.
Right,
holding them accountable.
right.
So yeah, but we're just at the point of tossing it around.
No, we're in
Yep.
Carver County and we like it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't had any issues,
That's good.
but it's also very big.
Yeah.
So it's like depends on where you go in there,
Yep.
I suppose. And it's
Yep.
shaped weirdly.
Yeah.
Okay, here's what we're going to do. From now on, I've decided when a pack of cigarettes went from 31 cents to $15, when a house went from $16,000 to $400,000, the name of this show is going to be changed to I Blame Josh. What do you think?
It's my fault. Yeah,
It's
you can join in. You can join in with everybody else.
yeah, there you
My
go.
fault.
We only got a couple of minutes left, Josh. Any special tips you want to deliver for people?
We're in a little bit of a market pullback and could lean to a market correction. This is typical in any given year. No matter how the stock market ends up at the end of the year, you're going to have at least 3 to 4, 5 to 10% pullbacks that are going to be caused by some type of change in government policy, some geopolitical event, and or earnings coming out from companies that are not up to what many analysts think, and or if it's not the earnings, it's what their guidance is going forward. We're in a period of time where analysts, other talking heads are adjusting to something that I didn't think was going to happen at all, which is cuts in interest rates coming from the Fed. And I said I didn't think it would happen at all because the Fed has been on this campaign until inflation gets to our target of 2%. We're not going to do anything, but we're leaning this way. We're leaning to maybe 3 cuts. And my sense was, if I go back and listen to some past tapes, that the Fed could cut, we'll say in May or June, just to show the market, hey, we can do this, and we're on our way. Mm-hmm. And that would be a positive. It'd be a positive for a lot of banks because it would help them out. Cuts in interest rates would boost bond prices, right, and that would definitely help banks. Bear in mind that the higher the yield on something, the lower the price on bonds. So, unless you're holding a bond to maturity, that bond could fluctuate just like stocks are going to fluctuate. So that's one reason. The other reason that the Fed could cut, and I didn't see any cuts coming until after the election, would be the economy starts slowing down, and the Fed says, "Oh, we want to prevent the economy from going into a recession, so we're going to cut." But right now, the economy measured by the gross domestic product, and the fact that employment numbers are still up, is at a good stage. So the Fed is saying, you know what, the inflation is still out there. We're not going to cut until we get more data. So the Fed is really not leading things; they're following things. So that's another reason that the market is down. So the essence of what I've told clients is our asset allocation is to keep up to 30% in cash to take advantage of these pullbacks, and the balance we can invest in companies. We're coming to earnings. I think the earnings for a lot of companies are going to be surprisingly good, and that could, again, start supporting an upward trending market.
Ladies and gentlemen, next week at this same time, please do tune in for It's Josh's Fault. What do you think?
Okay, whatever it is, it was my fault. Just remember, they've got to call me at 952-925-5608. If you're going to plug me, I can plug the phone number.
No
so they can
question.
Call 952-925-5608, and then they can say, it's your fault. It's your fault.
I love it. That works for me. We'll talk to you next week. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Got a picture in my pocket that reminds me of the flows before. Every time I hear the singing, reminds me how you talking.